This video tutorial is brought to you by TipSquirrel at www.tipsquirrel.com. For all the best Photoshop and Lightroom goodness, follow at TipSquirrel on Twitter or go to facebook.com/tipsquirrel. Hi everybody, Mike Hoffman here, and today we're going to be creating a film strip in Photoshop using a bunch of images and Photoshop's 3D capabilities to make a truly 3D film strip. And indeed, you can see that this is a 3D film strip and we can actually move it around. So how are we going to do this? Let's get started. I'll turn these layers off and just enable a white background layer so that we can see what we're doing. And I'll also point out that I've got my montage of images arranged together in a file in the shape of a film strip, and I've created this ahead of time. I'm sure that you can find plenty of tutorials out there to create this type of a film strip effect. So back in Photoshop, what I'm going to do is take the pen tool. I'm going to set my pen tool to draw a shape with no fill and a black stroke, and I'm going to set this to be 1 point. Now with the pen tool active, I'm going to make just a few simple strokes. A 45-degree angle that way, a 45-degree angle that way, and one more here on the end. And that's established a curved shape. And notice that we have a new shape layer now here in the Layers panel, and this will become the basis for our film strip. With this shape layer active, I'm simply going to go to the 3D menu, and I'm going to choose New 3D Extrusion from Selected Layer. And Photoshop will ask to switch me to the 3D workspace, and that's fine. And here we are. Now if we look at this, we can see that we've got the S-shaped line is extruded into a path with some depth. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click right on the 3D object and I'm going to spin it around a little bit. In fact, let's take this and spin it around this way. And then we can grab the Move tool, and I am using the Move tool with the 3D Rotate mode active. And we'll just spin this around until it looks about the way that we want it to. Now this is nice, but it's curving out to the left and in on the right here, and I think I want the opposite of that, so I'm going to flip this upside down. That's giving me more the effect that we started out with at the beginning of this tutorial, and that's what I'm going to use. Now with this orientation active, I'm going to grab the scale widget that's right here. It's a square block on the red x-axis, and I'm going to drag that, and that's going to extend the film strip and make it longer. I'm also going to press Ctrl H or Command H on a Mac to hide the ground plane and any other extras. At this point now, we've got a film strip and it's starting to look like a strip or a ribbon. And it's time to add our images. The way that we'll do that is we'll select the extrusion material. And the extrusion material is the surface that you see extending downward from the original path, which is here at the top. With the extrusion material selected here in the 3D panel, I'm going to go up to the diffuse texture and click this little icon, and I'm going to choose Remove Texture. Then I'm going to come over here to my film strip image, and I'm going to press Ctrl A or Command A on a Mac, and then Ctrl C or Command C to copy it. Now with that image on the clipboard, I'm going to once again click this icon and choose New Texture. And notice that the preset is automatically set to the size of the clipboard. So I'll click OK. And now that new texture is present on the extrusion surface. We'll go one more time to this menu and we'll choose to edit the texture. Now that we're editing this material, we can just press Ctrl V or Command V to place the image that we copied a moment ago, and Ctrl or Command S to save it. We'll go back to our 3D image, and there is our film strip. However, it doesn't really look very good at the moment. So what we're going to do is to open up this menu one more time, and we're going to edit the UV properties. Now, with these properties, we're going to actually change the size and scale of the image that's being mapped onto the surface. And you can see that as we adjust this U scale, it's expanding and contracting the image horizontally. If we needed to, we could also adjust the U offset, and this will move the images along the horizontal path so that we can control where the images are placed along our film strip. So that looks pretty good right there, maybe just a little bit higher, and you'll have to experiment to get the film strip into the position that you want. So that looks pretty good right about there. We'll click on OK, and now we've got our image ready. We can make some additional tweaks to the position, and in fact we could come over here in the Properties panel, and making sure that we've selected Perspective, we can adjust this slider for the field of view and actually change the camera zoom magnification. That looks pretty good, but we can also use our tools here to drag this image around, and we basically want to fill the frame with it. So there we have our film strip in the right position. There are just a couple more last minute tweaks we want to make. First of all, notice that these images are upside down. This may happen, and in this case it's because we flipped our 3D object over to get the curve running in the right direction. So what we can simply do is go to the extrusion material, and we'll flatten this, and then we'll choose Image, Image Rotation, 180 degrees, and we'll save that and go back to our 3D object, and now we can see that the film strip is right side up. Again, in the 3D panel here, we could select this extrusion material, and we could adjust our UV properties more if we wanted to position the image in an interesting location. One other thing that we want to do is select the infinite light and turn off the shadow. Now that we've got this created, we can go back to the Layers panel, and we can turn off this white layer that we've been working on and turn on our background color layer. We could even, with the 3D layer selected, choose from the FX icon here and add a traditional drop shadow. Put it right about there and maybe boost the size up a little bit and give some old style Photoshop effects right on top of our 3D. To finish this effect off, we'd want to render it to get the lighting a little more natural on the images, and to do that we just press Ctrl-Alt-Shift-R or Command-Option-Shift-R on a Mac and let the rendering take its course. Once we've let the rendering run, we'll just choose any of the other layers and we're good to go. So here you have a quick way to create a realistic looking 3D film strip within Photoshop, one that you can actually move and manipulate in 3D space to place into your composition. My name is Mike Hoffman. My website is hoffmanartdesign.com. You'll find a variety of Photoshop and Lightroom, as well as photography tips, tricks, and information there. You can follow me on Twitter at mhoffman2001, and you can find me on Google Plus by simply going to gplusmikehoffman.com. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial.